we are always the cosmic focus. Grace and peace, everybody. Welcome to part number 3 of this Sabbath School Study Group series. Jesus wins, Satan's losing. That's what we're talking about when we think of the great controversy. And we also know it as the cosmic conflict, this battle between good and evil. Now that we know the sides, we've got Satan and we've got Christ, let's look at where their focus is. They're both zoomed in on us. You and I are the focus of this battle. It's not so much the territory. It's not the terrestrial battle. It's the personal battle between Christ and Satan for the sake of either saving or destroying those who've been made in God's image. You are the focus. We are the focus. We're not the problem, but we are the focus of both the problem and the promise keeper. In Revelation 12, verse 6, we are identified, the people of God are identified in the form of a woman. The woman fled into the wilderness where she had a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,203 days. Now let's work this thing backwards to understand this is Revelation explaining metaphorically of something that does happen literally. The people of God are represented as being in the wilderness for 1,260 days. We understand through prophetic interpretation that a prophetic day is actually equal a literal year. This woman is in the wilderness for 1,260 literal years, symbolized in 1,260 days. We see the fulfillment historically of this being the church of God being under persecution during what we normally call the Dark Ages. But the Bible prophesied that this would be the time where the world will be without light and the world will be ruled by a beast power. We know that that beast power was in fact a church, that church being the Roman Catholic Church. God's true church, his Bible-believing and Christ-seeking church, they fled into the wilderness. And that's why she's called a woman. A woman symbolized because a woman represents Israel. That's not the first time we see it in Revelation. In fact, in Jeremiah, we see here in Jeremiah chapter 6, verses 1 through 2, where it says, O ye children of Benjamin, gather yourselves to flee out of the midst of Jerusalem, and blow the trumpet in Tekoa, and set up a sign of fire in Beth-Chorim. For evil appeareth out of the north, and great destruction. I have likened the daughter of Zion to a comely and delicate woman. Now, with this in mind, he uses this amazing illustration to illustrate his church, where he is the husband and she is the bride, and she's the beautiful bride. And that's God's level of adornment and adoration towards his people. So now, going back to Revelation, this woman is also then explained in chapter 12, verse 14, as given 2 wings. This woman given 2 wings of a great eagle that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place where she hath, or where she is nourished for a time, and times, and half a time, from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth, and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. Notice how in this part of Revelation, the 1,260 days is represented as a time, times, and half a time. Well, that's just another way of saying years. We would, in old days, we'd say a time was a whole year. So 1 time plus 2 times plus a half a time is 3.5 years. 3.5 years, guess what? It equals 1,260 days when you count a 360-year day, which is the actual Jewish calendar year. Brothers and sisters, the point of the study is this. Who is the focus? Here you've got Jesus on one hand, and then on the other hand, you've got the serpent, obviously a metaphor for Satan. But now who's in the middle of it all? The woman. We're the focus of the enemy's attacks and the focus of Christ's atonement. God wants us to realize how vital you are to his plans. But guess what? You are vital to the enemy's plans too. You are essential to Satan's plans. I would suggest, and I'm preaching, that we would choose the side of love. We choose the side of victory. We choose the side of Christ, because through him we have forgiveness for those sins. Whereas Satan, all he wants to do is accuse, bind, and afflict and addict us in those sins. It's the total opposite. The choice is ours. All eyes on you, because God is wondering if you'll give all heart